me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
I'm still dancing.
Yeah, I was like, Darlene's getting down backstage.
Getting down. Okay, so how I see I do need to put a fade out.
Yeah, it's just like, we're done now.
And done. Okay, well, welcome everyone to Biz Chat, your place of encouragement for faith-based entrepreneurs. I am your coach, Michelle. Over there is Coach Noelle, and back again. We love our fine china, Dr. Darlene Mayo. Today is Friday, January 27th, and we are talking a healthy you today. Guys, we know what it's like to have health issues that keep us from our God-sized dreams. So we want to talk about fixing and uncovering what's behind some common health issues you might be coming up daily, coming up every once in a while, or coming up when you eat that certain food. We want to get to the bottom of what's happening. So we have some guests we're bringing on in just a little bit, but we wanted to remind you, if you did not attend Plan Your 2022, guys, you've got to get on this. This is Faith Over Fear, bizchicks.com/plan 2022. Super easy. Type that in, get the replay, and get into our emails, and we'll get you into all that's coming up and new for 2022. You will get the breakthrough you need to set goals around the right things because they're in alignment. Your schedule will finally hold because you're in alignment with the dreams that God wants to accomplish for your 2022. It was fantastic, off the charts. If you haven't gotten it, go now.
Yeah, did you say free? It's a free gift.
Free.
Yeah.
I didn't see that part. Thank you.
Free is good.
Free is good. I like free.
Awesome. Okay, so today's topic, like I said, is health and healing. So be ready to dive into that topic. But first, we want to chat a little bit. We always want you to know this is not for the faint of heart. We have highs and we have lows. So guys, something significant that happened this week, highs or lows, we want to share. What?
Who's starting?
Who's starting? I don't know. And I'm getting an error on Atmosphere of Grace. So we might not be broadcasting in Atmosphere of Grace right now. If you guys could tell, if you're on the main page, if you could let Atmosphere of Grace know. I'm not sure why it says it was canceled. So just a quick note, if you could let Atmosphere of Grace know, we're not live for some reason. All right. Highs and lows, people. Who's going?
Yeah, so I can go first. So
Okay.
Let's see. Highs for me from the last week. So we had a really big, I did a workshop / book signing, book launch last Saturday, which was more amazing than I even imagined. We had great in-person and online presence, and we had our prophetic intercessory prayer team come in, and they were dropping prophetic words during the workshop too, and they were praying for people afterwards, and it was just such a blessing. And it was one thing that I loved about it is that when people we put them in those little breakout rooms in Zoom. And so some people were like, oh, I don't need prayer for anything. But the team did such a good job of making them feel safe that after like 5 minutes, they opened up and started just like pouring out their prayer request. And so I just loved that because it wasn't about me, It was about the space that was created. And so that's just truly, the mark for me for impact in the business is when, I create space for a team that creates space for others. And so that was just really, really beautiful. So yeah, just downside is always this for me after an event is I know I need to carve out time to rest, and I hate resting. And so but God has his way, and he's always like, all right, little Missy, you're going to rest after these things, after you release, so that I can fill you back up again. So I had to rest this week. So that was cool.
Yeah, it is tough when you're like, type A, go. And then you have so many other ideas, right? That come out of it. You're like, your brain's spinning and you're like, wait, rest? I don't think so.
But we rested. So
yes, good for you. All right, Coach Noelle, how about you?
My high actually was connected to last week's broadcast. So you guys didn't see, after we stop recording, we usually chat for a while. And the head of Darlene's prayer team, Jody, was on. I've never met Jody, but we met Jody, and Jody gave me a prophetic word that nailed me pretty hard. In fact, when I told like my spiritual community here locally about it, they all started laughing because I'm pretty fiercely independent. And she just nailed me. So I have been doing this week what she asked me to do, which was to specifically ask people for reviews for the book. And so those are starting to come in. And I'm also starting to get messages on Facebook from people who are reading the book, and it's like impacting them. So yeah, that's definitely been my high. Like, okay, God, you really did write this book, and it's having a spirit impact, and so that's just been incredible this week. My low would probably be similar around, I have committed some shifts around my health and exercise specifically and my schedule. So the amount of time that I'm willing to work, because if I was just single and had no kids and all of that, I'd work constantly. And so I have limited work time, and it's hard when you're like so engrossed. And like this morning, I woke up super early, and it was already time to leave for school when I realized, oh, I'm still working on my talk for this event on Sunday. So yeah, that's the constant
battle.
Yeah.
Balance, work-life balance.
Yeah. All right, Michelle.
Highs and lows. I mean, highs, I'm still coming off of our event and all that our team is just growing. Like, people are coming, and it's just a magnet right now. So I think I'm a little still like deer in the headlights, shell shocked, kind of what God is doing when you kind of hit this groove. So super excited about all that's happening on Monday with the launch of our launch school. And yay, yeah, so excited about launch school. So excited about all of our team members and in having everybody in the right place, and the energy and the excitement and all the things that are flowing. It has just been, and then just having people to pray for me. Like, I didn't realize I needed people around me praying for me. Like, I am feeling it. There's the low. I am feeling the stepping into new things and the resistance that comes with that. So lows, yeah, that there's been some things where we have needed some prayer this week. So so it's all good. It's just a learning curve, and super excited for what God's going to do next week with Launch School and Atmosphere of Grace and the sorority that are all launching next week. So lots of good stuff happening. But today, you guys, we really want to focus in on your health, because we know all of the stuff that we are talking about and that God is doing through our lives is not going to happen if we don't stay healthy, and if we don't get to the root of what is holding us back. It'll constantly come back and trip us up in the most important times, in places like when we're about ready to launch or when we're about ready to do something. Our bodies feel that stress, and then whatever the weakness is going to kind of explode. So we have all learned, and so that's why we are wanting to bring this topic in front of you guys today. That because when entrepreneurs are down, our health is a distraction. It affects our ability to run. It affects our ability to serve well. So we're going to bring on our guests right now, both entrepreneurs, Kingdom entrepreneurs, and let's bring on Berlin and Coach Shauna. Welcome to the podcast, ladies. Yay. All right, so we got a lot of us on here today. We usually don't have 5 of us on, but we've all been sort of on this same journey where we needed to get, we had something flag in front of us. So let's go around, everybody. Let's start with Berlin, then go to Shauna, Dr. Darlene, and Coach Noel. What was it that made it so you were like, hey, something's up. I've got to get on a journey of health. Something had to change. What was going on?
So for me, I've always been in the health world, like my whole life since I was 17. I launched off into that space. So I always thought I was healthy, but there were some gaps in my life. So just quick few things for me. I struggle with anxiety big time. In fact, now that I don't struggle with it, I realize how bad it actually was. Like when you step out of things,
Right.
anxiety was super, super bad. Another thing is afternoon slumps. And I mean afternoon slumps to the point where if it was like 2 p.m., like I was a personal trainer, if it was 2 p.m. and I was in between clients, it was like, I need a nap right now. Like couldn't function, face red, tired. And my third thing that was really bad is my periods were miserable, absolutely miserable. Couldn't function, tried to, but couldn't function very well. Super, super sick. And those were like the 3 big things that really, really got me and really impacted my life and impacted my business for me.
Oh,
Yeah.
those are some major. How about
It's
you,
like a trifecta.
Coach Anna?
You know, while launching a business in my 20s, my health turned on a dime, and I have been on a quite literally 30-year hunt for the root issue. And I've really been into health and nutrition for quite a while. I've been exploring all kinds of different modalities for a long time, but everything turned again in a negative way a couple years ago. And I was crying out to God, utterly desperate for a shift and for his promises to me for restoration to be fulfilled. And God connected me to Berlin through Noelle. And I learned some things that really set me on the path to restoration. And I'm super excited about that. And even had another crisis moment just recently where they got to the root. I was just diagnosed with Lyme disease. And so that chronic fatigue and all the issues I've dealt with for so many years, we finally have gotten to the physical root to that. And in the meantime, I have done tons of things with dealing with mindsets and inner healing and all the other aspects of healing. And so I'm actually on dual protocols.
So we don't want to get on the path quite yet, but just what's wrong?
What I was going to say is the last of the testimony is what Berlin taught me to do. When I was doing all the blood work for this new diagnosis, the practitioner was blown away at how healthy my internal body is from these protocols, despite where I've been and the restoration I still have to go. Does it make sense?
Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
Dr. Darlene, how was it a dark, kind of tough road when you were like, hey, I need to change some things physically?
Yeah, so a little bit different story. So as a neurosurgeon, I was not prioritizing my health as you can possibly imagine. Like my idea of a complete meal was at like 4:00 in the afternoon when I was in between surgeries, would grab a Snickers bar and a Coke from the vending machine. And that was my nutrition. So shocking that literally, I think once a year, every single year, I wound up in the emergency department with ulcers. Go figure, right? Like you put stuff into your body and your body screams. They would be like, because I wasn't married at the time, it was like, oh, Dr. Lobell's back in the ED again. Fantastic. Great. Please reschedule her surgeries. But here's the thing: when I left, then I started to actually notice, because I was in just like go mode all the time in that career. But as an entrepreneur, I actually had time and I started noticing all those things, right? Like the anxiety and like the fatigue and all of this. And I got on a nutrition protocol that like totally transformed my life. And funny, because they don't teach you this stuff in medical school, believe it or not. I had a total of 4 hours on nutrition in medical school. So
Forget it.
That is a dark place. That is a dark place with ulcers. All right, Coach Noelle, what about you? Where was the trigger where you're like, this can't be anymore? Like, I can't live this way.
It was a slow burn for me. I was one of those girls that I had a super high metabolism. I was really active in sports, so I could eat whatever I wanted and it didn't show. But over time it showed in my body, right? And so my senior year, I actually ended up in the hospital with severe strep. And then they found out I had mono while I was in the hospital. And that was kind of the beginning of the decline, to the point where not long before I got on this protocol, I had Western medicine treat me with medicines that just covered the symptoms and brought other health issues. And so
Yeah.
I got really frustrated with all that. And I started looking at alternative medicine and natural medicine. And so it started there. But what shifted when I got on the gut health protocol was
Okay,
that-
wait.
Oh.
We're not shifting yet.
We're not
still
shifting.
talking Dark
Okay.
Night of the Soul.
All right. Michelle keeps us straight, girls.
So yes, for me, it was actually my children that were struggling with anxiety. I never really had too much of but then I started hearing about where these root causes were coming from. I was floored to find out that it had to do with what we put into our bodies. And so I was like, well, if my children won't try it, then let me try it and show them what happens to a body when it is treated right. And we get to the bottom, we get to the root issues. So for me, it was my kids. So I love that we all 5 have completely different stories of why, we were triggered and said, this can't go on any longer. So let's head back to Berlin and let's talk a little bit transformation now. Like, you are finally finding like this can't go on, and you find something, and you've tried things. Like, we all have tried. Everybody nod. We tried things.
Yes.
We tried things and they did not work. No, they did not work. That was not fun. So what worked? What all of a sudden started to work for you, Berlin?
Yeah. So what's interesting is I feel like with a lot of the things I was dealing with, like I said, I didn't realize how bad my anxiety was until I was like, it's gone. This is a lot different. And that's kind of how it worked out, right? Like, I started putting protocols and stuff into my body. Honestly, we had started my husband with some protocols because he had some gut and digestive issues. And I was like, well, like supplementation, nutrition, I'm into all that, right? Like, I'm going to do that too. I need it, right? I'd been looking for a great multivitamin because I'd found some really garbage ones and not some great ones, things like that. I was like, all right. I read the bottles. I did the research. I looked at it. I was like, this is good. This like, I'm going to try this stuff, right? And for me, it was like the first thing I actually noticed was I was like, I'm not craving chocolate, because I was like a chocolate 3 times a day person, like chocolate in the freezer.
Cravings.
Right?
Can I get an amen? Who has cravings? Oh my goodness.
Cravings. But then all of a sudden I realized, like, my mind would get really clear. I always thought maybe I was a person like that had a hard time just paying attention, maybe ADD, ADHD or something, right? Like, because it wasn't until like 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock when I was like, I can actually work now, right? My brain would be clear. And all of a sudden I noticed, like, I'm doing things with a clear brain at like 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I have, as an entrepreneur, you can make your own schedule, right? But like, I would like to get work done earlier in the day and not be like, I'm super clear-minded at 11 p.m. right? And you should be asleep. So those were the first things that I noticed and saw shift. Then I started to see my monthly periods. I wasn't waking up in the middle of the night, excruciating pain, covered in sweat, feeling like I was going to pass out. I was seeing changes and things like that. I wasn't getting the dizziness I normally had. So I saw those things start to shift, all because really I was just trying to make sure supplementation gaps were filled, that I was getting my nutrients, I was getting my minerals, I was getting those things in, because health was just important to me. And I started to realize that the things I was experiencing they felt normal to me, right? Or they were normal to me, and they are common, but they should not be a normal thing. So those are the things that I started to see shift in myself big time. And with that, I started to notice my stress and anxiety started to lower down. And because my energy was up, I wasn't drinking as much coffee, right? So that also helped with my anxiety. I wasn't throwing down 6 cups of coffee a day.
You weren't constantly wired.
Yes. So all of those things are what I began to see shift.
Awesome. All right. How about you, Coach Shauna? What was shifting when you finally got some clarity around what was going wrong?
Well, ironically, I had 4 really early shifts that kind of shocked me. I had never it was normal for me in my life not to sleep well. Hard time falling asleep, hard time staying asleep. If I woke up, that was it. The night was over. And that had been normal in my life, not normal, but normal in my life for so many years. I was shocked when Berlin had told me, give it 3 months, because, this is a natural healing process, is a little slower. And 10 days in, I had the best night of sleep I could remember in my life, and woke up feeling awake. And in short order, the brain fog was clearing. I think I was a couple months in when I realized I had just gone a week and hadn't had a cup of coffee, hadn't thought about it, hadn't like I like coffee. I have it because I enjoy it, but I wasn't that couple times a day trying to stay awake. And
Wow.
that was very shocking to me. I didn't even get a headache because I stopped drinking coffee. Like I just forgot to drink it.
That
And
is
then
huge. I bet there's a lot of people with coffee withdrawal and coffee. Like, yeah, I want to hear
And if
Dr.
you need a
Darlene
tip-
talk about that when we hit you.
No, if you need a withdrawal tip without a headache, I got a good one for you. Ask me in the chat. But the fourth thing, and probably the biggest thing, is I had this. I understand now that I had a lot of candida in my gut, and I had this hunger, this bottomless pit of hunger for more years than I could count, and where I could eat past full and I was still hungry, and it was frustrating. And I had gone through this program, speaking of alternative tries, that had said your body will eventually crave what it needs. So, eat what you're craving. And then eventually your body will say, I don't want any more chocolate. So I decided, I'm going to out myself here. I decided to test this. Berlin's laughing because she knows the story. I decided to test this theory. And I ate nothing but dark chocolate for an entire week of my life and never craved anything else. And at the worst part of that, I went to See's Candy, which is kind of a hoity-toity candy store like Godiva, and I had a box, an entire pound of See's Candy. Not once did that entire pound eaten all at once feel sickening sweet, ever. In fact, I went back to the store, bought another pound, and ate that pound as well. And it didn't feel sickening sweet, and I wanted more. And this was and at that point, I'm like, that theory is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. I'll go back to eating what I know is good for me. Well, 2.5 months in, about the same time I just stopped drinking coffee without thinking about it, somebody sent me from California a box of See's Candy, and I took a bite, and they hand-packed my favorites. And I took a bite, and it was gross. And I was like, who adulterated my chocolate? And then I had a party. I was super excited. I'm like, yes, it's working. For the first time in my life, I have found something that is working and shifting things.
Oh,
Because
wow.
if you stop craving chocolate, miracles are happening.
Chocolate and coffee?
Yeah. I'm just so fascinated at who told you that, because they clearly don't understand the brain, because your brain will crave what you train it to crave, literally. So you actually need to make a hard shift and teach it. That's why I love some of these reset programs that are even 3 days or 10 days or whatnot, because you teach your brain what it actually needs. And then you do begin, because it creates these pathways, it creates healthy pathways, right? And then you begin to recognize what the sugar actually does to you. Because if you study sugar, it's fascinating. Even there's protocols for cancer patients that I would take care of in the hospital, right? No sugar in their diet, because the cancer cells actually feed off of the sugar, right? And I didn't know it at the time when I was practicing. Now I know it's creating a very acidic environment in the body, which is horrible for you, right? But nobody ever talks about this, right? And even doctors, they don't understand. It's like, oh, if your body's too alkaline, you're going to be in a coma. Well, no, you're not. You're missing the point. It's the microenvironment around the cells that needs to be in this alkaline state to keep you healthy, right? So the same thing happened for me. It was very interesting because I had gone to like all the nutrition stores and bought all this stuff on my search for getting better. Nothing was working. And I actually happened on it by accident. A friend of mine called me up and was like, hey, I just invested in this new company with supplements. Will you try it? It'll help me out. This is literally the only reason why I tried this company, because I was like, oh, I'm going to help out my friends, right? And I started on the protocols, and after about a week, I was like, wow, I have energy. And again, like I was drinking 8 cups of coffee a day, no doubt.
Wow.
No doubt. And I was down to like 1 cup a day, and, and all of this stuff. And so I started, and then I gave it to my children. And my children that had been, at very emotionally labile, right? It really helped to calm them down. So I started studying all the science behind it and said, look, not only we have toxins in our body we need to get rid of, we need to balance our body into this alkaline state, but your brain let me give you just an example. with the appropriate B vitamins, your brain can either run at the speed of a Model T Ford or the speed of a Ferrari. So kind of like what Berlin was saying, right? She got her brain, she got what she needed with the nutrition. So she was running at the speed of a Ferrari. So the science is really cool behind all of this.
I love that. And I love that you brought up the alkalinic state of the body, because I have heard that you can't your body will never allow itself to go beyond what, like, it can self-correct. You can't over alkaline. Like, your body, your blood type knows how to correct itself. So don't worry about over alkalining your body. Go ahead and go full guns. But I love that you talk about just the protocols and sticking with them and seeing the change and seeing that your brain is going to get hardwired to run faster and not have the cravings. I hope you guys are all hearing all these benefits that are rolling. Coach Noelle, what else you got to add? These are all incredible testimonies.
In terms of our turnaround, yeah. When I first started the protocol, fatigue was probably my biggest struggle. And as an entrepreneur, fatigue is kind of a death knell to some degree. Like, it takes a lot of creativity to do the different aspects of it and stuff. And so when Shauna first mentioned it to me and mentioned what was shifting for her, I was kind of the same as Dr. Darlene. Well, I was like, well, I don't have a good multivitamin. Let's try it out, and then what happened for me was I did go into a pretty heavy, hard detox.
Yeah.
And I called Shauna, and I think Berlin was part of some of those conversations, and I was mad. Like, I'm worse. I started. But here's the thing, girls. They had asked me to do things, and I was not willing to do them. And not only that, little Miss Independence here was not willing to tell them right away when things were shifting and I needed feedback. So when I finally got willing to do what they had suggested I do, within 24 hours, I shifted, like, dramatically. When I went, the fatigue went away. I felt great. When I went back to my practitioner and did all my lab work, she said, your autoimmune disorder is not showing up on your labs. Like, it's gone.
I mean, so you no longer had the Epstein-Barr virus, which causes mono
in my body. Yeah.
Which I have heard that isn't a progressive virus. Like,
it traditionally stays in your body your whole life and never leaves.
Yeah.
So, and it does damage. It's going for your central nervous system, right?
Yeah.
So
And they are starting, and I'm not sure if this is definitive yet, Dr. Darlene, you can maybe, and that they're starting to connect it to chronic fatigue and some of these, like, it's left unchecked, it gets worse and worse.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
So good.
I got some nods from all three of the health peeps.
Yeah.
Michelle, if I can pop in, Noelle's a perfect setup for something. I don't know a lot of people understand this, but there's something called Hering's Law of Cure. And so the gist of restoration is, if you give your body the tools it needs, and we are a holistic people, so we do need to deal with spirit, soul, and body. But if you give your body the tools it needs, particularly with really good supplementation, it will do what God designed it to do. And you can actually reverse biological aging. And you don't have to live with a lot of things we've been taught you just have to live with. And we certainly don't have to just slap a medicine on a symptom. There are ways that we can feel better and do better. But you have to really embrace a mindset of understanding Hering's Law of Cure. And that is that you're going to heal inside out in reverse order from what stacked up on you, right? And so often we approach restoration wanting a quick fix, like, I want to lose weight, right? And I give my body the tools it needs. It has a different priority based on what it's going on internally that I may not know.
Oh, that is so good. Whoa. Let's park there for a minute, because sometimes we get really frustrated because we want the weight to come off or we want the fatigue to go. But he's working on, he's got the priority, and he's got the cells going after what was actually the biggest issue, right? Is that what you're saying?
We used to say this in treatment when people had a lot of crisis due to their addiction or their eating disorder. We'd say, deal with the alligators that's going to kill you first. You deal with
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Dr.
and your
Darlene.
body knows that, and you
Yeah.
may not know what that is underneath. And that's why it's really important to make lists of all the things that are bugging you, even if they're little, and to watch the list, because little things will fall away, and those are early wins. And if you're paying attention and kind of tracking with your coach on what's shifting, even tiny things, then you can hold on to that mindset of persistence to walk it out for the whole restoration.
Yeah, and Dr. Darlene, I really want to get your take here. What's going on in the brain and the mind when we're not getting the results that we wanted because our body's doing other work? How can we keep going? How can we get the energy, or how can we even encourage our loved ones, because we know we've come through it? How would we encourage our audience, encourage loved ones to keep going when they're not seeing the results, and it's bitter, like it's tough, it's a tough pill to swallow when you're not seeing the results that you feel like you need desperately right away because something else is getting healed first? What is it we can do to support people or support ourselves when we're kind of in this state of not getting the results right away that we want?
Yeah, well, it's there's a simple fact that most people don't know that I think when you know it, it will give you the hope to continue on. Okay, first of all, any disease process that you have going on in your body, there's literally brain pathways related to that disease process. You got diabetes, you have diabetes brain pathways. Okay, those have to be broken down before we can step into healing and wholeness. Here's the thing about the brain. The brain always changes, always first before you see any physical change. We actually take advantage of this fact, even in training people in rehabilitation. So take care of people with spinal cord injury and stroke. We would see their brain pathways change only on the MRI. And they're like, but my arm's not any stronger. And I'm like, yes, but your brain is stronger. So you just hold on. And when you can teach them to hold on and understand that things are changing under the surface first, then you do see the fruit of that reward. And what happens is there's usually it's like a scale that'll tip at one moment. Okay. And I bet everyone, if I ask you, you can go back to that moment when the scale tipped, right? And it's like there's nothing, but that your brain is literally building those healthy pathways and breaking down the unhealthy pathways. And when it gets to that moment, you will start to see a change, and it will almost seem to you like that other world didn't even exist anymore. Like exactly what Berlin was saying, like, wow, like, was that even really me? So that's what I would encourage you with.
Oh, so good. Awesome. Well, let's see. Let's go around. What last things do we want to say about what you did and what you would never go back to again? Like, why are we here talking right now? What is it that you'll be so grateful for the rest of your life moving forward? You want to start, Berlin?
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, when you hit on things like anxiety and stuff, I didn't realize how stressed I was at dumb things, right? I would stress over going to an event. I would stress over having a to-do list too long, and things that really didn't matter. And not having those anymore is massive. For me, my hormones coming to balance too, game changer, massive game changer. Because I was at the point where the week before my cycle was starting, I literally was counting down the days and would get more and more fearful because I knew the pain that was coming. I knew the discomfort. I knew how I was going to feel. And it was almost like this fear of scheduled being sick, right? That's what I felt like I know, oh, it's my time to be sick for 4 days. And I felt like total trash, right? I would need days to recover from the energy drops that I had of feeling so awful. And when you're a business owner and you have that, and you really always having anxiety leading up to it, right? Like that's what the stress was. Like I was having 2 weeks where I was just stressed to the core and feeling crappy. And how do you build a business that way, right? And it's really, really difficult when you're like, I've got 2 weeks a month to build a business and interact with humans and feel like myself and have my brain straight. So those are things I'm like, of course, I wouldn't ever want to go back to those. And when you are finally able, like if you're listening to this and you're like, I can't even imagine having a clear brain and feeling good and not having fatigue and stuff. But it's like, it becomes almost like this whole new life where you're like, I can't even believe I functioned before that. And you get this new revelation of this greatness of life that you can have. And it's absolutely amazing.
And so what is
Okay.
happening in your life right now that it wouldn't have happened if you wouldn't have hit this place?
Oh my goodness. What wouldn't have happened? I
I
just
mean, you
moved
moved.
across the state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and there's, I mean, I even just used to have a ton of anxiety. Even going to church was stressful for me. And now I moved to a place where I have community. It's a bunch of people I met on the internet. Love the internet, but where I can go out and connect with them. And if someone calls me up in a moment, I can, hey, let's go have coffee and let's have some deep conversations. And I have lots of entrepreneur friends who are here to encourage me. And so it opens up those doors to be around more people for me, right? It opens up the doors, the fact that I'm not feeling like trash for 2 weeks where I want to avoid people, right? So that's helpful. I'm able to build my business more, obviously. I'm able to impact more people because I can have more conversations because I feel good myself. That's one thing I believe so powerfully is if you are not feeling like your best self, like that is why I'm so passionate about health. If you are not your best self, first of all, you can't live as long to impact all the people you're supposed to impact. Like if you die at 80 and you're supposed to at 96 change people's lives, but you're not here, so someone else can do it, but not the way that you did, right? And so, and the same thing comes when you don't have the energy and the mind clarity and the focus, and you're living in anxiety. And this can trickle not just in your business, but down to your kids and your family. If you're stressed out and you're angry and you're frustrated and you're snapping at your kids and stuff, it all pours over. So,
So
yeah,
good.
I want to
That
repeat it
is,
now.
if you guys didn't get encouraged off that, I don't know what we
Yeah.
can do for you, because you're talking about all the areas of your life. You're talking about physical health. You're talking about your purpose, your plans, your goals, your dreams, your connection with people. Like, we are a body. We're meant to be a body. If you're not effectively operating as a member of the body of Christ and you're not out there being able to serve, like, this is all stuff that we see shut down little by little. This is the enemy's tactic to take us out of the game. If you feel like he's attacking and you're getting taken out, whether it's as a parent, as an entrepreneur, as a human being, as a member of the body of Christ, all those things, you're not functioning to the full level of where you know you're supposed to be, then we want to just invite you to have a conversation with Shauna or Berlin and start the path to health. It has changed all of our lives, all of us here, and we couldn't run after what God has for us. And so we just want you to know that we've had transformation, and like, you're not defective, that you're not, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, this is part of the human journey is to make sure we're operating in wholeness and health. And there's a battle. There's a battle on earth for our health. There's a battle on earth for our mindsets. There's a battle on earth for our spiritual purpose. So all of those things are under attack, and getting your life back on track is so exciting. And these two, I've had meetings with them. They care so deeply about your personhood and what is happening. I was like overwhelmed. Like, I was like, oh, stop that. Whoa. Like, I have never had people like jump all over and want to care. I was a little overwhelmed, I'm going to have to tell you. Like, we actually love and want to dive into all the symptoms and all the things. Like, we're not letting anything go to the enemy. That's where we are not letting one little thing go. And so they're kind of like pit bulls after whatever is underlying. Like, we're gonna get after it. That's probably accurate, right? So we just want you to,
yeah, like, talk about fierce. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yes.
fierce after what is taking you out of your game. So Noelle, can you pop up that link? Like, if people want to just start a conversation, if they want to know where we get the pink drink, this is where it is. I know you've been waiting.
Yeah, and we promised that we would tell you what the pink drink is. It's a microbiome product called Slim. And we didn't mention that, and that's not why I started it, but I have lost weight consistently on this because I'm not craving all the crappy foods that I used to constantly crave.
And she's a foodie.
Oh,
yes. Saying she's a foodie.
You know. And there was something else that I was.
While you think about that, let me just say the link that I've given is a consult link. And when you click on it, do it when you have about 15 minutes, because once you start it, you're going to need to go all the way through. That will drop an email into Berlin's box. And at that point, Berlin and I will follow up with you and just give you some recommendations. Consider it an opportunity to gather information. We will not push you to do anything, but we will let you know what options you have and how we can help you also feel better.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, ladies, we
And
are
you're
out.
going to have to, oh, are we out of time?
We are out of time.
All right.
I know.
There you
And
have
we
it.
could go on, but I want to just give a little teaser here. We will be having a Body Marvel challenge coming up in April where Dr. Darlene is coming back. We've recovered. Was tough. I'm not gonna lie.
Stirred up a lot of stuff
You
last
stir
time,
up
girls.
stuff, it gets a little messy. So,
And if you got really stirred up and you're still stirred up, get this consult. Like that's doctor's orders.
you are kind of a doctor, right? I mean, ish,
Doctor-ish.
doctor of therapy. So yes, so look for that coming up in April, right, Dr. Darlene? We're doing
Yep.
Body Marvel coming back in April. I'm sure we will invite Shauna and Berlin in as well. We're going to break down the things that are attacking us.
And Nicole is coming back to visit.
Nicole will be back. Sassy
The
Nicole.
fancy hat.
Yes, Noelle's twin. So you got to meet Nicole if you haven't. So ladies, I just want to thank each one of you for taking time out of your schedule because I know you could be doing lots of other things right now. And I'm going to ask everybody here, if you just know one person who would benefit from this, please share today's episode with one person. Share it on your feed or on your story. We know this is common to women entrepreneurs. So share it, please, with someone that you know might be struggling and just need that encouragement that they are not alone. So again, thank you to all my guests today. You guys have been fabulous. And I just ask God's richest blessings over each one of you as your hearts pour out to serve women and entrepreneurs and those that you are called to serve. So thank you. Thank you. And to everybody else, we will see you next week. We will not be live. This will be a recorded episode next week. We're starting our new schedule. We'll only be live on the third Friday of the month. So catch us live on the third Friday. Otherwise, we'll be popping up our recorded broadcasts. All right. We love you. Take care. And we'll see you next time on Biz Chat.
Hi.
Bye.